Hi, I'm Scott Hart with IPD. I'm here with our ECU upgrade team, Ken, Chris, and Lucky, to help you gain a better understanding of the ECU upgrade options available.
Ready to get started? You thinking about an ECU upgrade for your Volvo? Hold on a second. Let's back this up a bit. How do you know you're getting a good deal? Peak horsepower is great, but what about drivability, longevity, and fuel economy?
Drivability is just as smooth as stock, but with the extra performance you're looking for. Longevity, well, we've got customers who've upgraded back in the early 90s that now have over 100,000 miles on their car. And as far as fuel economy, if you drive hard, well, you'll burn more fuel. But in light throttle cruising conditions, we've actually seen up to a 2 mile per gallon increase.
Why choose IPD?
Let's begin with the two key aspects that separate our upgrades from other upgrades on the market. First is the amount of research and development that goes into the calibration process of our upgrades. Most tuners perform this process on a chassis dyno because it's the quickest way to achieve acceptable full throttle performance. However, we've found that optimal performance and drivability across the full RPM range can only be achieved with real-world, over-the-road conditions. We've termed this tuning method as wide-scope calibration, and all IPD tunes are developed using this method. The primary reason we do not recommend dyno tuning for turbocharged vehicles is the difficulty of providing adequate airflow across the intercooler to keep the intake temperatures at safe levels, resulting in tunes that operate at high boost levels using very conservative ignition timing. This is why our tunes routinely outperform tunes that run at several pounds more boost. Our real-world tuning practices also result in dramatically stronger torque development using commonly available fuels across the widest possible RPM range, commonly referred to as power under the curve. Another benefit of wide-scope tuning is that it provides tuning calibrations for maximum performance on a wide range of commonly available pump fuels from 89 to 94 octane, so you do not need to purchase a separate high and low octane map, as is the case with many other tuners. This wide-scope tuning also allows additional upgrades such as catback sport exhaust, turbo downpipes, air intake system, larger intercoolers, and reverse intercooler piping to be added without the need for remapping. Generally speaking, the only time a remap is required is when the turbo has been upgraded or changed. Tuning to achieve maximum horsepower at redline can be achieved in a couple of hours on a dyno and can generate impressive peak performance numbers. However, drivability, fuel economy, and acceleration performance are often sacrificed. Our tunes generally take several days and in some cases several weeks to refine and develop the performance, drivability, and improved fuel economy we're known for. In back-to-back comparisons with other tunes on the same car and same dyno, it's not uncommon for our tunes to develop 15 to 20% more torque across the usable RPM range. Competing tunes may develop 3 to 5 more peak horsepower near redline. However, we intentionally avoid maximizing peak RPM output to retain engine longevity and durability. The second critical aspect that separates us from other tuners is that 100% of our tunes are installed using factory-style flash technology. In the early 90s, we researched popular low-cost chipping options and quickly realized it was not a viable solution for Volvos. Volvo doesn't use a socketed-style chip design as found in many of their cars, so the chip must be desoldered from the ECU circuit board and a socket installed for chip-style upgrading. The Volvo chip is not designed for this type of process, and we found that the risk of damaging the circuit board during the process of installing a socket to allow chip upgrading was very high, and that the soldered socket joints often failed in a very short period of time. Flashing upgrades into the chip is how the factory installs the original software and makes updates to the software. Flashing upgrading does cost a bit more, but provides the highest level of quality and reliability. In 1993, when we began to research ECU upgrades for Volvo, MTE Sweden was the only source in the world for Volvo flash tuning, and that is who we partnered with to bring you this technology, and who we still use today.
Okay, now that you've decided that you want to upgrade your Volvo with an IPD tune, the next step is a stage 0. What's a stage 0?
Stage 0 is simply making sure that your car is in good, sound mechanical condition before you upgrade. The Stage 0 upgrade consists of 3 primary systems: your ignition system, your air intake system, and your fuel system. For 1994 to 1998 models, your ignition system is comprised of spark plugs, spark plug wires, your distributor cap and rotor. We strongly suggest that you do an oil filter service, replace the air filter, and make sure that your fuel filter has been recently serviced or replaced. Also, if your transmission fluid has more than 20 or 30,000 miles on it, we highly recommend that you perform a transmission flush. ECU upgrades can increase heat under the hood, especially under high load conditions. It's important to inspect vacuum lines, vacuum elbows, intercooler connections, and any rubber parts for any signs of cracking or bulging from oil contamination. Prolonged exposure to high heat can dramatically reduce the life expectancy of these parts. If you have concerns about upgrading a Volvo with high mileage, It's important that you know that it's been maintained properly and that you've gone over the stage 0 components that we've just discussed.
Chris DYNO here with IPD. Now that you've got a solid stage 0 done, it's time to go out and establish some baseline numbers before you do an ECU upgrade. If you're wondering how you can achieve these baseline numbers, we've got a few different things that you can think about. One is a G-Tech. This little device can actually do 0 to 60 times and quarter-mile times. But remember, when using these, you want to make sure and perform these tests in a nice, safe, controlled environment. Another test that you might want to think about is actually consulting with a local shop that might have a dyno. Using a dyno can actually get you accurate numbers before and after. But remember, if you're going to use a dyno, you're going to want to go back to the same shop because dynamometers can actually vary between shops. And if you can, you want to use the same technician that ran the test the first time to give you accurate numbers before and after the upgrade. The reason why we emphasize the importance of doing baseline testing before you get an ECU upgrade is so that way you have a better understanding of what actually you're going to get after the ECU upgrade has been performed. We have compiled a full list of 0 to 60 times, boost pressure levels, and horsepower with all Volvos, and that's located in our catalogs and on our website. I'm ready. How do I get my ECU upgraded?
Hi, I'm Ken Pruitt in ECU Programming here at IPD. We have a couple of main options for handling the upgrading of your ME4 ECU for your car. The first option is to pull the ECU from the car and send it to us for upgrading. What you need to keep in mind before you choose this option is that the car will not be drivable, and you won't even be able to start it for the time that the ECU is in transit to us, being modified here and in transit back. Another way is to find a similar or the same ECU from another car, either through a wrecking yard or another parts source. It would seem on the surface that just buying one for the same year and model and transmission would be the right answer, but it isn't always the case. Really, the only thing you can do is that you want to confirm the part number, the Bosch part number on the ECU. This one here, as you can see, ends with part numbers 458, which we would normally just call a 458 box. Sometimes, particularly when you get late into the series, 98 models in particular, the production date of the box is significant. You'll note that this has numbers here in the bottom right that say 9709, which means its production date is the 9th week of 1997. We may ask you for this when we're trying to figure out whether or not we have a core available for you to use in the exchange process. If you are interested in the core exchange process, give us a call. We can check the part number of cores that we have on the shelf and give you any other relevant information to choosing a core for your car. Don't forget that the minimum that your car is going to be down if you pull the ECU out and send it to us is 3 days.
Once you get your ECU upgrade back, install it and take your car for a test drive. We don't recommend taking it out and flooring it right away. The best way is to ease into it and make sure there aren't any leaks or other issues caused by the higher boost levels before you apply full throttle for extended durations. 1994 to 1998 models have a very basic adaptive learning function, so they will provide near maximum performance in just a few miles of driving and should be providing full output after 20 to 30 miles of driving. What's happening during the adaptive cycle is the engine management system is gradually increasing ignition advance, boost levels, adjusting fuel trim levels, etc. in order to achieve optimal output with the multiple variables such as fuel quality, ambient temp, turbo efficiency, and so on. The adaptive function is always in process but restarts at a conservative level anytime the ECU is replaced or disconnected from the battery.
So that's about it. Once you've installed your upgraded ECU, it's there when you need it. You might want to consider that if you drive the car harder more often, you'll need to change the oil, possibly change the spark plugs more often to keep it in tip-top running shape.
Keep in mind the most valuable part of an IPD ECU upgrade is the free customer service and support that comes with it. If you have any other questions, give us a call or shoot us an email.
Now that you have the facts, don't waste another minute. Give our customer service agents a call. We want to help you enjoy all the performance your Volvo has to offer.